Hello friends, Namaste. Welcome back to the Sacred Space with me. I am your host Preetha Lal, and as you know, we spend time here reading the book Eternal Values for a Changing Society by the late Srimad Swami Ranganathananda ji. If you're following the space, you know that he was the 13th president of the Ramakrishna Matan mission, and along with it, he was a philosopher, a teacher, a spiritual guide and guru, a scholar par excellence, and a spiritual ambassador. This book is a multi-volume treatise that I've decided to read to you through this podcast, and it is a testament to the breadth of his knowledge and the depth of his wisdom. Today we will begin reading the chapter titled The Philosophy of the Eternal Religion, where the Swami delves into the concepts of Vedanta, its philosophical and spiritual basis, its implications on Sanatana Dharma, and of course the vision of such an ancient and yet temporally pertinent line of thought and action. Let us begin. The Philosophy of the Eternal Religion. Introduction. The religion preached by the sages of India is known by a significant title, Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. The conclusions of Vedanta form its philosophical basis. It justifies this high title by its dispassionate study of life and experience in their wholeness and totality, and by a persistent effort to evaluate all bits of life and experience against the background of that worldview. Vedanta, its boldness. The sole aim of the thinkers of Vedanta was to see into the truth of things, and they pursued this aim with a passion, vigor, and objectivity rare in the history of philosophic thought. The spirit of Vedantins has elicited unstinted praise from modern thinkers. Says Professor Max Muller in his 3 lectures on Vedanta philosophy, pages 39 to 40, and I quote, "Much of the excellence of the ancient Sanskrit philosophers is due to their having been undisturbed by the thought of there being a public to please or critics to appease. They thought of nothing but the work they had determined to do. Their one aim was to make it as perfect as it could be. Need we wonder then that their work was done as well as it could be done? That it has lasted for thousands of years?" Unquote. On the nature of the edifice of thought so built and the courage of the builders, he continues to remark in the 6 Systems of Indian Philosophy, page 182, and I quote, "It is surely astounding that such a system as the Vedanta should have been slowly elaborated by the indefatigable and intrepid thinkers of India. Thousands of years ago, a system that even now makes us feel giddy, as in mounting the last steps of the swaying spire of an ancient Gothic cathedral. None of our philosophers, not excepting Heraclitus, Plato, Kant, or Hegel, has ventured to erect such a spire. Never frightened by storms or lightnings, stone follows on stone in regular succession after once the first step has been made, after once it has been clearly seen that in the beginning there can have been but one, as there will be but one in the end, whether we call it Atman or Brahman." Vedanta as Sanatana Dharma. This passion for the highest truth, coupled with a deep interest in human happiness and welfare, has transformed metaphysics into a living faith, a worldview into a social philosophy. An idea and a vision become transformed into a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our soul. Vedanta emerges as Sanatana Dharma, the book that registers this extension of the pure passion for truth into the wide channel of collective human welfare is the Bhagavad Gita, and its teacher, Sri Krishna, stands as the center of this mighty change. This mood of the Upanishadic sages has been well expressed by a celebrated Vedantic thinker of the 8th century, Gaudapada, who says in his Mandukya Karika, "I salute this yoga taught by Vedanta, which proclaims the unity of all existence, which promotes the happiness and welfare of all beings, and which is free from strife and contradiction." Its development in the Gita. The Gita brings out the deep spirituality of the Upanishads and emotionally satisfying religion centered around a personal God, a personal morality leading to purity, strength, and gentleness of character, and a social ethics inspired with a passion for Bhutahita, or goodness of all beings, and Lokasangraha, or human integration. Sanatana Dharma is based on the Upanishads. The Gita is the exposition of the Sanatana Dharma by a mastermind who was Vedankrit and Vedavid. In the words of the Gita, one who had digested the thoughts of the Upanishads, the scope and meaning of which find embodiment in the Gita in a complete philosophy of life. An old verse compares the Upanishads to a cow, Sri Krishna to the milkman, Arjuna to the calf, and the Gita to the milk that is drawn, and the verse significantly adds that the milk so drawn is the nectar which will nourish the spiritually hungry of the world. The Veda as Shruti. These Upanishads mark the highest development of Vedic thought in philosophy and spirituality. On account of this, and also on account of their being the concluding portions of the vast and varied Vedic literature, the Upanishads are also called Vedanta, the end or fulfillment of the Vedas, both as books, the more important of which are 10 in number, and as thought, which is pervasive of them. The Vedas are called Shruti, a term that expresses their supreme trustworthiness in spiritual matters, being impersonal in spirit and universal in scope. The term Veda, according to Shankaracharya, primarily means knowledge, beginningless and endless, capable of leading to liberation and verifiable by one and all. Says Swami Vivekananda, addressing the Chicago Parliament of Religion from the Complete Works 11th edition, and I quote, "By the Vedas no books are meant. They are accumulated treasury of spiritual laws discovered by different persons in different times. The discoverers of these laws are called rishis, and we honor them as perfected beings. I am glad to tell this audience that some of the greatest of them are women." Vedanta, its universal vision. Vedanta is both philosophy and religion. The absolute of Vedanta is not a mere logical postulate. It is a given fact of experience, an actuality, the basis of all presuppositions of logical thought and common experience, but never beyond the grasp of both. It is that which speech and thought fail to express, but through which speech and thought themselves express words and ideas. This is a quote from the Kena Upanishad. It is the seer of thought and the witness of the universe, Swami Ranganathananda continues. The highest reality it teaches is at once the absolute of metaphysics and the God of religion. It is the unity of reason and faith. It is a reality in the human being, the Atman or his real self, behind his ego or apparent self. As Ishvara, it is the personal God of religion, the highest reading of the absolute by the human mind, the sum total of all souls, human and non-human, whose limited expression in time and space in this world. Thus, Vedanta speaks of one and the same reality as Brahman in its metaphysics, as Atman in its epistemology and mysticism, and as Ishvara or Bhagwan in its religion. It is the one in the many, and though one, sages call it by various names. This great idea of divine unity is beautifully expressed in the Srimad Bhagavata. where it says, knowers of the truth declare that it is one and the same non-dual truth of pure consciousness that is variously called Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me in this sacred space today. We will conclude this chapter in the next episode, where Swami Ranganathananda brings in the ideas that truly begins to justify the title of this treatise that we are reading and why the values are indeed eternal. Until next time, this is your host, Preeta Lal. Namaste.